In this video, I transformed my engine bay with only £50 in paint materials, but a whole lot of elbow grease. Hey mini enthusiasts, how you doing? Welcome back. I hope you're having a great day and I hope you're all well. In today's episode, we're going to prep and spray in body colour the engine bay and bulkhead. This is probably the bit I most enjoy about doing any car restoration work, getting to this point where you put paint on. Painting, actually, spray painting is probably the bit I'm least experienced in and have the least amount of knowledge. Again, I've done this before on Sprout and I've done it on PL. We're going to be using rattle cans. Lots of reasons for that. I won't go into it in this video, but these cans from Paints For You, custom mixed paint, I've always found very, very, very good. On PL, which is pearlescent, spot on the almond green Cooper, absolutely spot on. So fingers crossed they'll be fine for this. And just for doing under the bonnet, they're more than adequate, really. They are very good paints. I'm not sponsored by them. If they ever want to sponsor me or give me some discount codes, please do, because it works out quite expensive. There's 75 quid for paint there, and that will comfortably do under the bonnet, I think. But anyway, you order it in a kit and it comes with primer, base coat and lacquer. Now I was quite surprised actually, because this car isn't base coat and lacquer, but that's how they provide it. That's got to be fine under the bonnet, but there's some bits on there where I want to do a bit of repair work and spray it. So I don't know how that's going to work with doing base and lacquer when the original coat isn't base and lacquer. I don't know. I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. But for now, just doing the engine bay. I've done this before, relatively straightforward. Really handy thing about the garage now, it's only 10 degrees outside. I've had some heaters on for an hour and it is absolutely toasty in here. It remains really warm. So I tried doing the same with Sprout last year. I had all the heaters on and it was really difficult to warm the place up. But it is lovely and toasty in here at the moment. It's almost too hot to work in. So first job, let's get the grey primer on. And basically, once you've done the etch primer bit, this bit's really quick. So the etch primer goes on before any bare metals and everything. You spray the primer, 20 minutes later, you spray the base coat. And then literally 20 minutes to half an hour later, you spray the lacquer, give it 24 hours to dry, absolutely spot on. So you can do pretty much the whole lot in one session once you've done the etch primer bit. The etch primer has to be on there for 24 hours. So let me stop waffling on and let's get into it. I've also got an extractor now, which is quite handy, which Mark gave to me. So thanks, Mark. So that's the first coat of colour on, base coat, and we just need, it needs one more coat, and then we'll be ready for lacquer. Right, I guess that's what you call gun fresh. It's still wet or tacky at the moment, but it's looking pretty good. It can be deceiving with lacquer sometimes, like this. I sometimes think I've put too much on, but it does sink back. Once it dries out, it gets quite thin, so there's definitely a knack to laying on lacquer, and that is you put a first thin coat on, just a dusting, and you don't let it dry. You give it about 5 minutes until 5 to 10 minutes, just until it starts to go tacky. You can go a little bit longer than that, and then you lay on as thick a coat as you dare. The thicker it is, the better the finish, and I'm quite pleased with that. I've used those spray cans lots of times now, and I'm pretty confident in getting a good result out of them. And that is pretty good. I mean, that looks, this bulkhead again, you're not going to see most of it, but I know it's spot on behind there. It's like down the front here, that part of the front panel you're not going to see, but I know it's really good. So yeah, pretty pleased with that. I must try to beat the temptation to touch it, put a fingerprint in it like I normally do. Right, so there we go. I am well pleased with that. It's come out really well. It is only underneath the bonnet, but it's come out good. The finish has come out really well. Like I said before, that's just gum fresh really. That won't be rubbed down, flatted back or anything like that. So just because of the shape of everything, but it's absolutely fine. If anything, it's too good. Some bits that come out I'm really pleased about. So there were lots of scratches up on the inside of here where the bonnet prop had been put. Down this back channel here where the VIN number is was a little bit untidy. Few just little light surface rust scabs. And again, down there, lots of scratches and that sort of thing. So I didn't want to mask right up a hard line on the edge, because you would end up with a line then that would be completely apparent as being painted, and you'd be able to see the join. And as you can see, it's a really vibrant blue at the moment, because the rest of the paint on the car will have faded over time. So what I actually done was put the masking tape, I overlapped it there, and so it gives a feathered edge. I think you can see it there, it just feathers in and it goes dry on that outer edge. So it kind of blends the colour a little bit and you don't get a defined line of where it's been painted. So I'm pretty pleased with that. Obviously, like I say, it is really bright blue at the moment compared to the rest of the paintwork. I'm pretty sure that colour will settle down a little bit, it usually does, but that is just because the rest of the paint on the car is 37 years old. That's brand new. The actual colour code of the car is Austin Rover Eclipse Blue. It is a really nice colour. But again, don't think it's going to be an issue. It's under the bonnet. I don't think you'll really notice the difference. There'll be bulkhead insulation on there. There'll be all the bits inside the engine bay and that sort of thing. I think once it's back together, it will look fantastic paint-wise. So I think I said I ended up spending 75 quid on paint. I need paint for other bits as well. I actually only used, to do that, I used put your teeth in, Keith. I used pretty much 2 full cans of colour. There's a tiny little bit in the bottom there. 2 full cans of colour, 1.5 cans of lacquer, and pretty much a can full of primer. So yeah, if you were just doing this as a one-off job with those spray paints, that's 50 quid in paint. But if you were to go into a body shop and ask them to do that, it will cost you hundreds. So yeah, pretty pleased with it. The more and more I use those cans, the better I get at with them. The next job, I think, is going to be the front end. Now it does really worry me, looking how bright blue that is there, the difference between there, that and that. Trying to blend it's going to be pretty difficult, but it's down the side here I'll blend it, so it might, hopefully it won't be too obvious, and I'm still not sure how it'll work with the lacquer. I think I might have to machine mop this first to get it nice and bright, because obviously once it gets a bit of lacquer blown into there and you blend it in, if it's dull underneath it's going to stay dull. So I'll probably machine polish that first, then I will degrease it, panel wipe it, just make sure there's nothing there which is going to upset the paint. Clean off that front end, spray, fade it in. The bit of repair I've got to do is below the headlight here, so it probably doesn't, it might pick it up on camera. It's just lumpy around here. It's obviously had a dent and they bashed it from the back. They bashed it out too far, and they've just made a bit of a mess on it. It's just not very tidy, so it wants dollying back again. Maybe there's no filler in there, which is good, and maybe a slight skim of filler just to get it back to exactly the right shape. Only bit I messed up on the paint job, doesn't really matter, was I didn't mask up this corner properly, so I've got overspray all around here. All this front panel's getting painted, so it shouldn't really matter. And then hopefully tomorrow I should be taking the wheels and the subframe off to be shot blasted and powder coated. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. As always, give it a thumbs up if you have. If you're first time to the channel or you're not a subscriber, please do consider subscribing. I really appreciate your support, and have a nice day.